Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep in the world of selling and make it simple. Today we got something special for you, a rapid guide to optimizing your PPC campaigns in only minutes. If you ever felt overwhelmed by your ads, or you just need a quick way to optimize your campaigns to ensure they're performing at their best, you're in the right place. Let's cut the confusion and dive deep into the simplest Amazon PPC optimization techniques. Ready? Let's get started. All right, like always, we're gonna end up in Amazon Campaign Manager here, and this is where you come to optimize your bids. What we're gonna navigate to, like we have in many of the other videos, is the targeting tab on Amazon here. And this is gonna save you a ton of time, make optimizations a lot more easier. But warning, in the targeting tab, you have sponsored product and sponsored display, and you're missing that sponsored brand that is sandwiched right there in the middle. So you cannot optimize sponsor brand in the targeting tab. So you'll need to go into those campaigns or download the bulk file to do that, unless you have some software tool that you are using. All right, we're gonna scroll on down to the targeting view here so you can see this nice little horizontal sliding bar. And recently Amazon came out with a very cool tool. It is the ability to add filters into the Amazon tool here. And it is the ability to add filters into your Amazon PPC utilizing this targeting tab. And it saves my team tons of time throughout the week, so we can do some very quick optimizations in a very short period of time. So you come into here, and if you go filter by and start adding some filters in there, like target active status enabled. We could go to campaign active status enabled. So we're only looking at your active campaigns and active targets. So we don't look at anything that is paused, right? We don't want to optimize something that's paused because most likely it's going to stay paused. So as you see on the right here, the save filter. If I want to save a filter, what I could do is I could say enabled, right? This will be my enabled filter. So anytime I click it, everything's always enabled. All you have to do is click save filter. And let's go ahead and enter a name. I'll just say all enabled. And I click apply. And then now that will become part of my filters. But I'm not going to use that in this video because all of my current filters already have that incorporated into them. So just assume that as I'm going through the video. So I'm going to start off with a filter exact with sales. And as you see on the top, I didn't have to run a bunch of filters. Amazon saved it. I was able to quickly get into it. So basically what I'm doing here is looking at all my exact match campaigns with orders. Not my campaigns, but all my exact match targets with orders. So now I can scroll all over to the right here. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see this nice bar. So I could scroll to the right and I could see my ACoS as well as my CPC. The one thing that I'm missing is the conversion rate. So I usually like to see that too. So maybe I'll remove the click-through rate so I could also see it. If you have an extra wide monitor, then you could be able to see that too. Or if you change some of your settings, I'll just get rid of, let's say, click-through rate for now, just for this video, just so I could see a little bit more of my data here. Okay, so now I can see my conversion rate, my cost per click, my bid, impressions, top of search impression share, clicks, spend, orders, sales, and ACoS, right? So what I want to do is I want to filter by ACoS because that's usually how I optimize my bids here. Now, what I always like to do is I always like to optimize based on my cost per click. So when I'm in the targeting tab, I'm actually manually looking at each one of the bids and the cost per clicks and the ACoS, and I'm manually making a change. Now, when I'm doing this, when my team's doing this in bulk files, we have simple formulas that really helps us to speed things up. In here, you could do a formula every time you're adjusting the bid, but it takes a little bit longer. And once you get really used to this, you can kind of start to eyeball it, do some quick math in your head, and figure out what that bid should be. Okay, so as you're coming through here, right now we're sorted by ACoS low to high. So these ones are really good performers. So we can start going through and looking at the bids, looking at the cost per click. If you have a good ACoS, you want that bid to be much higher than that cost per click. So you would go ahead and input that bid. As of right now, you can see it's much higher than the cost per click. I may want to lower it. I'm just going to leave it where it's at. My team already adjusted these for a reason. I'm not going to mess with their stuff. I'm going to leave it exactly where it's at. So continuing to go through here, all that really good ACoS, I want to make sure that bid is higher than the cost per click and things are properly being adjusted. So that is good to see. Now, take this with a grain of salt. We're using mostly dynamic bids down only here. So if you are using dynamic bids up and down, you're going to adjust your bids a little bit different there. And if you have placement modifiers going in the campaigns, you want to keep those at the top of your mind when you're adjusting your bids as well. That's why I like doing things in bulk files. It allows you to see all those things all at the same time. But for those of you that don't like spreadsheets, this is a very quick way to do it. And once per week, I would say go in here and do that full adjustment this way. Another day per week, go through and do a full bulk file optimization, cross sponsor product, sponsor brand, sponsor display, optimize your budgets, optimize your placements, and just optimize everything. Okay, so going back into it, adjust your bids based on the cost per click and the target A cost. Now, you could do everything in bulk. So let's say if I click this, there are 104 targets in here that meet this criteria, that have an A cost, have some orders. So I can do a bulk action. I can say, okay, increase my bid by X, right? I can do that across everything. Now you could add another filter in here. You could say, okay, let's go A costs. Go A costs, say less than or equal to 30%. So let's say my target A cost is 30%. So basically, anything that would be below that 30%, I would want to increase my bid above my cost per click. So that's another way to do it. And you can get a lot more granular with your filters and have a lot more filters and sort it out by A cost in some different ways. In this tutorial, I'm just giving you, some more simple filters. But if you want to get down to this level, you can. Nice. Now, there's 40 targets in here that are under my target A cost, and I can go ahead and adjust them. Make sure all the bids are higher than the cost per clicks. Then go through, manually enter each one. So basically, you could just click on it, change it, hit save. Simple as that. Amazon accepts it. Or you can go ahead and use that bulk action, and that's a way to do it. But like I said, we like to look at that cost per click and look at the A cost anytime we're making a decision. Okay? So going through, I'll adjust all those, right? The next thing I could do is go greater than 30%, hit apply. And now in this situation, I would want to start to drop my bids below the cost per click on all the A cost that's above my target 30%. So always start to go through, drop all the bids below, and that'll get them properly optimized. The higher the A cost, the more we want to drop it. And potentially, if the A cost is too high, you may want to pause it. That may be a decision we need to make. But remember also, if you scroll to the left here, see this targeting type. Now, in this specific filter here, I'm looking at all exact match keywords, but if this is broad in phrase, I also want to go into my search term report and properly optimize that before I make any big bid changes. Now, if you're just making small bid changes, that's fine. But sometimes in that search term report, there could be certain search terms or certain product targets that are driving a ton of wasted ad spend, and just adding one of those as a negatives could fix that A cost and fix the performance in that campaign. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my filters now. I'm gonna go to the next one, broad/phrase with sales. So it's the same thing like exact match. The reason I separated them, because a lot of times when we're working with our clients, we usually run our broad and phrase campaigns a little bit leaner, a little bit better A cost than our exact match campaigns. So, and even in the exact match, we have some campaigns that are for ranking that we're a lot more aggressive with. But for broad and phrase, usually it's right around the same goal that we're looking for. So grabbing this, scrolling back to the right, we're gonna get back to the same thing here. All right, we're already sorted by A cost, so I'm gonna go through, do a lot of the same thing, look at that, figure out that target A cost. I could go ahead and add an A cost filter into there as well. And as you can see right now, there's no A cost filter, but you could go ahead and add them. And when you're saving your filters, you can have more. So you can have exact above 30%, exact below 30%, broad phrase above 20, below 20. Let's say that's your target A cost for those. And same thing with these. We're going to continue to get into these. These top ones are all with sales, and then I'm going to get into the no sales ones. All right, so go through, adjust all your bids. You can do it manually or using those bulk actions like I showed you a minute ago. Adjust them all. You have a good view of your conversion rates. You have a great view of your top of search impression share. And let's say if you're confused on anything or you want to dive deeper, you could always jump right into the ad group by clicking that. Now, I wouldn't click it. What I would do is right click it and open in a new tab, because you don't want to lose this view that you got going here. So go to your next tab, look at the placements, look at the campaign, you can look at different history, look at some changes, and then come back in here and make a data back decision. The next filter I got here is for product targeting with sales. Now, the only thing you could do in these filters is, I'll show you right here once this loads, is you could open it up and you could see I could only do exact, phrase, broad, and product targeting. Now, I would love it if I could only do exact match product targeting, or just expanded, or just category, or just autos, but it lumps them all into the same. That's how you have to do it in this situation here. But same thing, I'm gonna go through, optimize all these like I would, but I will pay a little bit more close attention, whether it's exact match product targeting. Let me open this up. Now, I will pay a little bit more close attention to if it's exact match product targeting, expanded, categories, or autos. Right, those are gonna perform differently from one another. So I do want to, I might have a slight difference in my ACoS goal that I'm looking for. And remember, you do have sponsored display in here. So you are going to see some audience views, some product targeting coming from sponsored display. And if you look right under the campaign name, you'll see if it's sponsored products or sponsored display right here. Now, the one thing that is not going to show up in here and we cannot actually run a filter for is your auto campaigns. So when you are adjusting your autos, which you would think is a little bit kind of part of product targeting, kind of part of keyword targeting, it's a little bit of both. But when you're adjusting those autos, you need to have proper naming convention of your campaigns. And you could run a filter by, campaigns and ad groups. And then you could save that, right? If you have the right campaigns and ad groups, or you could just go back to Campaign Manager, find all your auto campaigns, open those up individually and optimize them that way. You can optimize them in the targeting tab, but there's no specific auto campaign filter that I can run. Okay? Great. But like I said, you could run this campaign and ad group filter. If you have them named really well, you can go ahead and just type in the word auto. If you have the word auto in all your auto campaigns and click add on the campaign right here, add all your auto campaigns, and then you can go ahead and adjust those. And that could be one of those filters. Okay, next we're going to jump into zero sales. Now that we went through all the targets with sales, now we want to get into optimizing things without sales. Now, the way I set up these filters are really based on the conversion rate of my products. Now, if my products have a usual, say, 10% conversion rate, then I want to optimize them based around that. So if you take 1 divided by 10%, then it takes you 10 clicks to get a sale. So I'm gonna run my filters that way. If I have a 20% conversion rate, it'll take 1 divided by the 20. That means it's gonna take me 5 clicks to get that sale. And I may want to adjust my filters based on that criteria. So look at your conversion rates in your business reports, that unit session percentage, or you can look at your advertising conversion rates and really make those filters on that kind of data there. So this is just a generic 10% that the majority of Amazon products have. All right, so I'm gonna jump into zero sales with 10 or more clicks. Now, things that have 10 or more clicks and zero sales, now I know even if my next click turns into a sale, my conversion rate is gonna be less than that 10% I want, right? Okay, so once I get into, say, 20 clicks without a sale, then I'm getting into a 5% conversion rate range. What conversion rate am I okay with? So once again, I'm gonna scroll to the right. Now you will see your autos pop up in here because I'm not filtering by that. So autos will pop up. So remember, you may end up adjusting them without adjusting all of them, because if your auto campaigns had orders, then we would not have adjusted them based on the other criteria that we had before. So instead of going by ACoS in here, because there isn't an ACoS, you can either go by spend or by clicks. I usually like to go by clicks because I usually adjust things based on how many clicks they've had and really just use kind of a data-backed approach to these adjustments. So now you can see I have some loose match and some close match with 64 clicks, 58 clicks. I got some of these keywords and product targets with a lot of clicks and no sales. So I want to come up with that decision making, right? At what point do I pause something, right? If my loose match has 64 clicks and it didn't make a sale, do I pause it at that point? I would say yes. In this case, it spent $75, didn't make a sale. If I look at my average order value, what would the ACoS be if that next click turned into a sale? And in my case, it's still going to be well over 100%. So in this case, I'm going to go in and pause it. The bid's already at 50 cents. It's already very low. I'm going to go ahead and just pause this target right here. It's just not performing well. But you want to come up with fast rules, right? At what point am I going to pause things? At what point am I going to lower the bids, right? Let's say anything under 30 clicks, maybe I'm going to just lower the bids, or maybe anything under 20 clicks, I'll lower the bids. Anything above 20 clicks, I'm going to pause, right? But it also is going to depend if you're looking at, autos, broad phrases, because those ones you could actually go into that search term report and maybe fix a couple things, where once you get that exact match, the only option you have is to pause at that point. All right, so go through. Let's just say I'm going to pause these top 3 or even top 4 because they have more than 20 clicks, top 5. And once I get below that, then I'm just going to start to drop the bid, right? The higher the clicks are, the more I'm going to drop the bid. The lower, the closer those clicks are to 10 clicks, then I'm going to start to, make smaller adjustments, right? So maybe at the top, I'm going to use a 40% bid decrease between, let's say, 16 to 20. I'll use that 40% drop, and from 15 to 11, I'll use a 20% drop. You could, split that up into smaller increments as well. But I just recommend that you set some rule based on how you're going to adjust these things. So it's always consistent. You're using rules and you're very consistent, so everything's always been optimized the proper way. And part of all these last filters are really just cutting out wasted ad spend. So the next filter we're going to get into is 0 sales with 1 to 9 clicks. So in this case, I may not want to lower my bids too much. I don't have enough data. So maybe in this case, I'll just maybe raise my bids or keep them the same. So go through, look at the cost per clicks, look at your bids, and you may adjust your bids closer to your cost per click. So you don't end up having a ton of waste, a lot higher cost per clicks. So you don't waste any more ad spend. But go through, adjust these, make sure they're all adjusted, or leave them the same, whatever you want. Just make sure you're looking at all these things. The next filter I want to get into is 0 clicks with less than 300 impressions. So I covered everything with clicks. I'm going to cover everything without clicks. So basically stuff that doesn't have any clicks with less than 300 impressions. But in this case, what I want to start to do is I want to start to increase the bids. But there's a rule here. Right, I want to increase my bids to a certain max bid. At some point, I'm most likely not going to have a abnormally super high conversion rate on things. So there's an actual max bid that I'm willing to get to. So let's say around that 10% conversion rate range. Let's say I have a $20 product. I don't want anything higher than a 50% ACoS, right? So that means it takes you 10 clicks. So really that max bid would be right around $1 there. But in this case, for this brand specifically, my max bid is closer to that $3 range. So anything above $3, that's when I'll probably start to relaunch those things. So in this case, I could change it to where my bid, I could add another filter, is less than, say, $3. I didn't add that to my filter, but you can, resave the filter, add that in there. So you could also say anything less than $3, less than these impressions, it doesn't have any clicks. What I want to do with all these is I want to increase my bids. Once I hit that max threshold bid, then at that point, I'm probably just going to relaunch the things. In this case, you don't need to look at your cost per clicks because there isn't any. So you're actually able to use the bulk here and then do bulk action, adjust your bid, and you could use a increased bid by a percentage, or let's say 10 cents at a time, 25 cents at a time. And then all you have to do is hit save changes. Easy as that. But as you see right here, there's actually 3,000 of these. So there's 3,445 targets that meet this criteria, but there's only 300 results per page. That's the most you could do. So actually I would have to go through all 12 pages of these and do that in order to adjust every single bid. That's why it's still much easier to do things in bulk files. But you can use this as your process. It just requires opening up 12 pages in this specific scenario. Likely you're going to have a lot less bids that meet this criteria. And as you see here, even though I have target active status to enabled and campaign active status to enabled, I'm still getting some pause keywords that are showing up in here. So adjusting these bids aren't going to do much for me anyways, because this is actually the ad group that's paused, and there's no filter to filter out paused ad groups, only campaigns and targets. Okay, my last filter that I'm going to jump into here are relaunch. So those are the ones that meet that high bid and still don't have any sales. At this point, what I'm going to do is just relaunch them into new campaigns. And like I said, I still like to do this in bulk files, but you can come through, set your grab all these targets and pull them out, relaunch them into new campaigns, and see if you get better performance of them later, because you've already set that high bid and you're still not getting clicks. So at that point, let's relaunch it, retry it. Nothing to hurt here. You're not going to change any of your performance at all by pausing these and relaunching them. So I'd go ahead and take that step. That's not something we do very often. I would say, maybe once a month, once every 2 months, go through and pause everything with no spend and then relaunch them into new campaigns. So that is it for this tutorial today. So take a screenshot of these filters, write them down on a list, make your own tweaks based on the criteria that you use to adjust your bids. If you have any questions about anything here, put it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer. I'll make another quick video or a Loom video and send it over to you. And last but not least, if you want to redo your filters, you can go through and just delete them. And there you have it. PPC optimization on Amazon doesn't have to be confusing or time consuming. With these quick and easy steps, you can always ensure your Amazon PPC campaigns are fully optimized and up to par. Remember, efficiency is the key, and with the right tools and techniques, you can make significant improvements in just minutes. If you found this video helpful at all, stick with me. I'm going to be making videos every single week on how to navigate the tips and tricks to Amazon and make PPC one of the easiest aspects of your business. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.